What's scarier than a ghoul? A ghost? A goblin? There is no joke. Now die. In keeping with the spirit of the season, we come forth with another spooky selection. Okay, well, originally it was going to be Isaac from Dead Space, but that required a whole bunch of research that I didn't have time for, and it involved the scariest thing of all. PlayStation All-Stars. Oh. So instead we're doing this old school classic character. Though if I'm being honest, this is not happening. The last time this franchise had a game was on the SNES, not counting the PSP remake and the goddamn Wonder Swan. Look, I've avoided talking about you in the Digimon video, just stay away from me. Though beyond the theming of the month, I genuinely feel that this is a series that could really use a revival. I mean, this is the best time to do it. Who am I kidding? A dark fantasy game with extremely punishing difficulty and weirdly in-depth backstory? Nah, can't imagine that catching on. I don't think it would need a particularly big budget, maybe a smaller downloadable title. Something like that I could feel would really work, and I'd love to see it happen. Capcom's on an upturn, so maybe after they give Dragon's Dogma the respect it deserves, they'll keep reviving franchises. Come to think of it, I've done a lot of Capcom characters, haven't I? Okay, well, looking at our actual character, Arthur is the main character of Ghosts and Goblins. One of the hardest games ever, honestly. I still have it downloaded on my Wii, and I can remember countless nights of frustration as I tried to get past the second level. Look, man, it's hard. Arthur has appeared in a number of fighting games even recently, and is basically just this short little Chad that cares only about beating demon ass. Basically what I'm saying is that he's Doomguy's ancestor, it's all connected. In terms of his basic movements, he would certainly be a heavyweight character with rather limited speed and would probably have some very rough and committed movement. I do a lot of those kind of characters too, don't I? Well, on to his actual moves themselves. Jab, F tilt, and neutral air will all be the same basic move, that being the throwing knife. Knife. Get the 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 knife. This can be done while moving, similar to its inspiration of Mega Man. Though he can't actually really do the throwing while running, he kinda can. You stop a little bit, which can be used in the actual movement itself. Steve also has that mechanic.
Are you sure about that?
This is one of the more prevalent moves in Ghosts and Goblins. It's kind of the only thing that you'll be doing the whole time. So to have it be utilized similar to Mega Man, I feel is very appropriate. It would also give him much needed protection that we'll get to later. Down tilt and up tilt will be rather heavy swings of his sword, similar to his MV3 melee moves. Also, there's the whole sword character meme, and it would make people mad, and for some reason I like making people mad that get so up in a tussle about characters using swords in video games. So yeah. Dash attack will be running forward and delivering a powerful shoulder check. This is mainly to show his impressive and manly stature. Kind of a running joke in Capcom crossovers that everybody really respects Arthur due to his legacy of extremely difficult games. Also, he is such a man, he does not even have a chin, it is just all beard. Lips? Nah, pussy stuff. Forward air would be a quick toss of his lance. This is actually the default attack, but I think it works a bit better as the slower and more powerful forward air. I'll mention that he can only use one projectile at a time, besides the knives, to make him less spammy, and complementing his home games in that you would often have to wait for your weapons to despawn, as once you threw a couple you couldn't throw anymore, so you'd be helpless for a little bit. Back air would be throwing out his magic shield behind him. This does rather low damage, but will block any attack that comes his way. It's a kind of unique way to get people off of you, and can be an interesting method of stopping other projectiles. works kind of like the back shield, but only active for a sec. Down air, using the torch, he fires fire below him, resulting in a meteor smash, similar to Mega Man's down air. Up air, throwing an axe straight up, only for it to come down. This move is strong, but if you miss it, you have to wait a real long time for it to go down, and as said before, you can't do any other projectiles while it's doing that. Moving on to his smash attacks, his side smash would be a powerful stab with his lance. Very similar in execution to Corrin's F smash. Up smash would be a powerful melee swing of the axe, and down smash would be letting loose a flurry of flames from the torch on both sides. As for special attacks, we need a little bit of help. You see, Ghosts and Goblins is a rather weird series, in that after just a few games, it rather quickly started getting spin-offs, and not the kind you would expect. The main one we'll be talking about is known as Demon's Crest, a Metroidvania-like open-world type game starring Firebrand, one of the red demon enemies from the first game. Like, how weird is that? Imagine you were playing Dark Souls and you were just like, that guy. Adventure game spin-off, full backstory, Virgil-esque rival, 7 new forms I needed yesterday. It was atypical back then and it's atypical now, but it's such a cool idea. I think I like Demon's Crest more than the main series. It's just so atmospheric and dripping with character. It's much quieter and slower paced than G&G, but you get to know the world better. Plus, the protagonist and the more gritty environment makes it very distinct for the era. I genuinely don't know many other SNES games that you play as a villain of a previous game. I mean, I'm one level below Satan, for gosh sake. I mention all this as I would be remiss not to include Firebrand in any way, as he's the secondary main character of this series, and even joins Arthur in Marvel vs. Capcom, much to people's confusion. So, to actually get to his special moves, Neutral B will have Firebrand appear and launch a green fireball. If you hit the button multiple times, he will launch a few more, but he can't do much more until they leave the screen or hit. This move is comparable to Duck Hunt's Wild Gun attack. Also, as a note, Kirby could either just spit the fireballs themselves, or maybe he has a little stuffed animal of Firebrand. That'd be fun. Side B, Firebrand appears again, this time in his Earth form, grabbing onto Arthur and charging forward with a burst of speed, and slamming into whatever's in his way. This move is powerful and can take one hit before stopping, but it isn't very good for recovery, as once he uses it, he kinda sinks like a rock. But it can be good for recovering high. Upbeat, the red demon picks up Arthur, this time in his wind form. Essentially, it's a reduced form of Villager's recovery, allowing him to fly around for a little bit, and even fire a wind blade if you press the B button again. Though just being hit a few times will cause him to drop Arthur in a free fall. Down B will take a little bit of liberty. We'll be using the Time Crest from Demon's Crest, and create a small aura around us, working similar to Bayonetta's counter and Shulk's counter, where Firebrand will temporarily be powered up in this state, and thus will deliver a big strong hit, but only after they're slowed down. As for a special mechanic, after taking 50% damage, Arthur will lose his armor and he'll be running around in his tidy whities. Once like this, he becomes much lighter, but moves a little bit faster. This is a do or die state, where he can very easily be killed. During this time, however, you can build up damage to potentially restore your armor, and if it's already restored, you could potentially build it up to upgrade it into its green form. This will enhance all of your throwing attacks to mimic their second level variations from Ghouls and Ghosts. These are much stronger and much more useful, though something to note is that the meter will deplete if you're not doing damage consistently. This forces this rather projectile-heavy character to engage in fights as he is rewarded for getting it done quickly. This is also slightly based on his game's time limit that has proven to be my end many times. This damn ogre level with the balls can give the fattest suck for all I care. Taunts. Firebrand appears in all these, cackling and mimicking Arthur, who raises his fist triumphantly, kicks back and takes a breather, or readjusts his pants/boxers. His victory screens would also probably be fairly simple, grabbing his key to symbolize ending a level, triumphantly gaining his final armor upgrade, and him and Firebrand having some sort of epic battle. This stage. The stage is kind of already done for me. It would be extremely similar to his MVC3 stage, a scrolling level that goes through the first level of Ghosts and Goblins. with tons of enemies and hazards to look out for. Basically, it would be hell to play on this. You can turn hazards off, so I figure, why not go a little wild? Spirits. While there aren't a lot of particularly unique things to make spirits out of, the spooky ghosts and demons can make for some interesting fights. I'll mention they probably can't use Satan, as that would be a bit too far for Smash Bros. I've been informed, they have used hell before, so... Could you imagine equipping Isabelle with Satan? Zombies. This is like the second time I've used zombies, and just recently they added a character to the game that is technically just named Zombie, which we could use, but technically they probably don't want that because you can't own the DLC. Whatever, I'm gonna do what I did before. A bunch of slow Ganondorfs that have low HP but attack you in waves. Skeletons. A bunch of white Ridleys with the Devil Assist trophy appearing. Woody pigs. That's what the ghosts are called in the game. Be a number of Jigglypuffs with vastly increased movement speed kind of flying back and forth all around at you. Occasionally they would turn invisible. Unicorn! Yeah, they call those unicorns in this game. It was great. It'd be a big white Donkey Kong with big powerful punches. Dragon. Not the most unique names, I'm well aware. This would be a big blue King K. Rool in an environment where the whole floor is slippery from ice. Red Armor. This is actually Firebrand's enemy type. Again, super weird. Just random enemy. And technically we could just use Arthur using Firebrand's moves, but for the sake of it, and so I have something to show on screen, it would be an army of red Ridleys that would have increased aerial attacks. Arma, the Virgil to Firebrand's Dante. I think besides Proto Man, this is the first guy to do it. And that's so cool. Like, seriously. You really just don't expect this random enemy to get this full thing where he's got this super cool rifle. Look at him, he laughs at you, it's awesome. Anyway, he'd be represented by Meta Knight, where occasionally strong wind would push you off the stage. Phalanx, the final boss of Demon's Crest, would be a large dark Samus with the field occasionally turning pitch black and gaining a powerful final smash. Astaroth, the final boss of the Ghosts and Goblins series. This would be a giant Incineroar given a number of different power-ups. However, after you beat him, you have to fight Zombie and Skeleton and Woolly Pig and Unicorn and Dragon and Red Armor all in a row. Because the games hate you. And then you gotta refight Astrograth, which is the same giant Incineroar, again. Because boy howdy, that ending was a punch to the gut, wasn't it? And that's Arthur of Ghosts and Goblins, and Firebrand. As I said before, I genuinely really hope this series gets a reboot. I don't think it will appear in Smash. I could see this actually being a Mii costume or a Spirit event though, because he's just cool. He's this classic old Capcom franchise that I think deserves some love. As I've said, I've got a lot of respect for both it and for Demon's Crest, as I recently played through that game, and it made me kind of look back at the whole thing and be like, wow, there was a lot of ambition here. There was so much like thought and effort and love. This was Capcom's golden era. And we're kind of starting to creep back into that, so I'm really hoping we see more of this. Again, this is the perfect time to try it. So, hey, maybe we'll see you again sometime soon, little bud. Maybe in something a bit more successful than that last fighting game. Nah, who am I kidding? I'm gonna be seeing your skeleton flopping all around for the days to come. That's gonna be a hoop!